Construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions podcast, where we're burning down the house and rebuilding it twice a week here on Construction Champions, where we talk about what it really means to be a champion in the construction industry with builders, contractors, disruptors, coaches, and anybody that wants to sit down that has knowledge about the construction industry and can tell me what a construction champion is. Today, I am super excited to have Erin on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ron. And, hooray for burning down the house and building it back up, more so on the building part, but love it. Love it. So great to be here. And I'm really excited to dig into some of the topics that we have here today.
Awesome. I'm excited too. Why don't we start by you letting the construction champions know who you are and what got you here to today?
Yeah, absolutely. So my origin story, my name's Erin Khan, born and raised out in New York on the East Coast, but I ended up here in LA, Southern California, because I came out here for school at USC. So fight on Trojans. So studied civil engineering, and I had a really great experience my senior year of school renovating one of the buildings on campus. So I will never get as good of a commute again to a project site as that, but I learned so much in that first, project engineer internship experience. And what I really took from that was, I'm learning all these great things in school. Out on the job site, things were a lot more manual than I expected, very not so tech savvy processes. Maybe there was a little bit, but team members still kind of struggled with the training and the implementation. So I was super, super passionate about bringing things like digital drawing sets and Bluebeam and using these tools to the project teams to be a little bit more efficient and effective, which ultimately it was. So that really sparked a passion for construction and construction innovation. And that's basically been my career since then. So I've been on a few reno projects here in LA, but always went back to kind of that tech side. Fast forward about a decade or so, my latest major experience was as the National Director of Construction Solutions at Suffolk. Amazing team there, doing a lot of great work leading the industry with tech and innovation, but decided, hey, I'm ready for a little bit more. Let me kind of get out of corporate life and start my own. So this year I started my consultancy, Erin Khan Consulting, where I support both contractors who are looking to be a little bit more innovative and use technology effectively, to support them and how to best do that. And then I also support construction technology startups on the market who maybe need some help or guidance or various support on creating the best solution possible that they can to support builders. So that's where I'm at today.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to talk. I always like talking to innovators in the construction industry. I think it's a magical thing, and we're an industry that is very accepting to it. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And that is, what makes a construction champion?
I love this question. So I think there are quite a few things that tie into it, but the main characteristic I believe is just the desire to improve. So it's being curious. You want to look at something a new way. You see a problem, you want to solve it. So a lot of people in construction, we're natural born problem solvers, right? We get a set of drawings, we got to figure out how to put it all together. And challenges come up along the way, but we always get through it somehow because we have this amazing skill set to kind of collaborate and find a way to make it work. And I think that mindset of, hey, let's look at this as a problem we can tackle together and really be inspired to look to creative outlets to be able to solve that problem is key. So a lot of the innovators tend to have that mindset in the industry, and It's something I think that will be essential to the industry's survival and thriving over time.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I think what you're saying, it's the stuff that's so inherent to the industry and for people that are in it. But from an outside, or not even from an outside, it's one of the things that we're criticized about. But
Hmm.
like, that's not how I believe the industry is. I believe we're collaborative. I believe
Yeah.
we're, like you said, we're always looking for what is the better solution. I literally just wrote a blog post this morning about adaption in technology and how it's or adaption in construction and how it's a myth. And you've lived it. Like, guys want it.
Yeah.
They're just kind of jaded because a lot of the stuff to begin with wasn't necessarily user friendly for them,
Right.
but we don't live in that world anymore.
Right. And I think what's happened over time, especially like with the early batches of solutions that came onto the market, I think those, especially who come from maybe more of like a technical background and didn't quite understand construction, maybe thought it was a little bit simpler than they had imagined. So we we kind of saw a lot of solutions out there, which, no fault to them, but it's just a learning curve of really understanding the nature of this industry, which there are so many moving parts and pieces that it's far more complex than you can ever imagine. So a lot of the solutions, probably needed some tweaking here and there to be super, super effective. And that's one of the things that I actually love now. So in my capacity as an independent consultant, I'm able to give that feedback to startups who connect with me. So instead of just sitting there frustrated, now it's great to be able to say like, "Hey, have you thought about doing this instead?" Or this would make it way easier for your field teams to do whatever the process is in construction. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So yeah, ease of use I can talk about for quite some time.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of backwards how everything unfolded. Is like tech companies tried to copy and paste stuff from other industries and just figured it would work in construction. And I believe you can probably copy and paste stuff out of construction and it would work better in other industries than doing it the way it kind of
Yeah.
unfolded. But here we are today. And I mean, I think it's an exciting time for
Mhm.
technology in the construction space because you have got a lot of guys like myself that have come from the industry that are here now. Like, here, we're just going to create the stuff we need to solve the problems.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it's really exciting. But why I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to listen to you and get the magic from yourself here. I guess what I would like to know is like not just myself, but I know the listeners that are out there, they're trying to adapt technology.
Yeah.
There's roadblocks they feel. How do you help builders and contractors get over that mindset and what the stigma around technology for their company so they can continue to grow it?
Absolutely. And the roadblocks, as you mentioned, are many and everywhere. So not a small feat. I usually say, tech adoption in construction, it's more of an art form than a
Mhm.
science because you're dealing quite honestly with feelings first and foremost. So, what's the psychological emotional state of the people that we're trying to reach? So, what I usually recommend starting with is, one, understand the business use case, and two, understand how that affects your people. So at the end of the day, it's always, always, always going to be about people. That's why it's people process technology. So don't just throw cool, shiny solutions out there, willy nilly. Let's have some strategy behind it. So it really comes down to active listening skills. So we can, I can go off a tangent on, the whole emotional intelligence thing, but seriously, like sitting down with your field teams and just asking them, so what is the most painful process in your day? What's wasting you time? And then listen to that and genuinely try to understand where they're coming from. Then that helps give better insight to the technology or solutions that one will make a massive impact on their day. And then two, also drive those business results that you're looking for. So it's kind of like a matching exercise, if you will. Yeah, so little bit of art, a lot of bit of listening skills and emotional intelligence to get it all connected and aligned.
I love that because that's not the way we tend to go about it. We see the new and exciting and immediately jump in and we roll back to our team and we're like, oh man, I got this new thing. It's going to make everybody's life easier. And that immediately is like a red flag to everybody in the company.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. So with that approach, or I guess I would call it like top down or just, shoving technology out there, you'll get a lot of moans and groans. It makes the change management way harder. There's basically no grassroots buy-in. So, ideally you're finding people on your job sites who are just as excited about the solution as you are, who will actually say, wow, this saved me 2 hours out of my day and now I can wrap up and go home on time. I don't even have, a stack of emails to get through. I'm good to go. So that individual is going to be super excited and start to talk to their teammates and say, hey, have you checked out this tool? And then teammates will talk to other job sites within your organization saying, oh, we got through this problem with this solution that, saved us a couple hours a day or whatever it was. And then you start to see, more of a grassroots scaling of the solution, which when it's paired again with like that strategic business initiative, then you have a matching of the bottom up and the top down. So it kind of makes a nice accelerator for that tech adoption.
Yeah, it helps get everybody on the same page, get them excited. So is that how you recommend when you're working with a contractor or builder, is like just have maybe their best person with technology start to implement something or just start to test something out? Or how do you
Yeah.
go about even starting that conversation with somebody at your company?
It's interesting because it's not even your quote unquote best person. It's quite honestly the person who's the most excited and willing to give it a shot, right? So I would even say, like myself, I wouldn't say I'm super crazy tech savvy, but I'm the type of person where if there's a solution or whatever, I'm going to try to click every button just to see what it does.
Hmm.
Just from having that, curiosity or willingness to explore. So that I think is maybe a little bit, I would consider that a little bit more top of mind than, is this person super, super tech savvy? And those types of people can come from any type of background. So most often it does tend to be like newer grads or newer hires who are still thinking about things in a very open format because they haven't learned too much yet about the industry. But many times there's a lot of tenured professionals who basically, you get tired of doing something the same way, or, you've encountered the same exact problem over and over and over again on your projects. And it's like, well, the what is the phrase out there? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again without,
Yeah.
trying to change it. So it's like, hey, light bulb, I've been through however many projects in my career. Let's just, take a risk, try something new to see if we can actually make this, headache not happen on my next project. I think it's really about finding those people who are just willing and interested to participate. Doesn't necessarily, like, you don't necessarily have to be the fanciest tech person out there. But a couple ways this is like you identify these people. So if it's something very simple, send out a survey like, hey, are you interested in talking about construction tech? Like, we're going to have a meetup on this day. Maybe it's a virtual coffee or something, and you just get everybody together who says, yeah, I'm interested, and start having that conversation. So it can be as simple as that. So it doesn't have to be overly prescriptive. Sure, once you get to like a certain, big size of an organization, you might need to have a little bit more structure around it. But the most effective ways that I've seen just to get something started at least is to keep it casual, right? You don't want to make it too intimidating or scare people off with tech. It's, hey, let's just get everybody together who's interested, start the conversation, and see where it goes from there. So through those conversations as well, you'll start to hear, oh, one person's interested in using drone technology to, cover their site capture, whatever it is. Somebody else might be interested in using dashboards and data. Somebody else might be really into using 3D models and laser scanning. So through those conversations, and again, kind of tying back to that listening, you start to surface this energy, and then you can direct that energy in certain directions.
I love that. And that is such a great approach to just not even the technology, just to anytime you're going to implement something in your business, to just
Yeah.
ask. Like, even if, say, you're even a smaller place and you got your weekly meeting and you're like, hey, we're thinking about possibly bringing in some technology, like who's
Yeah.
interested in possibly having a conversation around that, and identify those players that are interested in doing that kind of stuff and bring them into the conversation. Because anytime you create another use for champion, it's somebody that is all about. So if you can create that champion in your business for something that you're wanting to implement, and they love it, and they become the person that's out there speaking to
Yeah.
everybody else about it, because you gave them the opportunity to utilize it, learn, test it, say what they liked, what they didn't like. I think
Yeah.
that's it. That's an amazing way to go about it. And I would say we're pretty bad at this as an industry, because we're very just, this is going to solve my pain. This is going to solve the pain points for my company. We need to do this, and then roll it out. And then we wonder why everybody in the field's not utilizing it
Doesn't like
every
it.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might not even be that they don't like it, that they're just not willing to give it a try or do any of that.
Yeah. Oftentimes it's so surprising. I think for at least my experience with being in an innovation role, or, a regional director, kind of trying to get teams to try things, or, raising engagement with new tools and processes. One of the biggest things was they were willing, they were excited about the solution, but they just didn't have time to sit down and learn. So
Mm.
a lot of times the role of the person who's driving change and driving innovation is literally to just make sure that the team members attend training. Hey, did you go to the training session today? Hey, did you, connect with the tech vendor on this new thing that, you said you're excited about? And more often than not, it's really just a time thing, which I think we've all felt that in construction. I mean, schedules get pretty crazy. Maybe one day it will not be as so time demanding, but yeah, it's basically somebody to just kind of continue to poke the team, say, hey, did you look at it? Did you look at it? And holding their hand through that process. So it's kind of like fancy babysitting for innovation, but it does help kind of get, that training piece. So one of the things too, like speaking of training, learning and development is something that I'm super, super passionate about, because a lot of these solutions out there, they have so many options, features, workflows, you name it, that can help support the team. But a lot of times it's just unknown, and you're maybe getting, 10% out of a tool where you could be getting, way, way more out of it. So the learning and development component definitely helps optimize the use of the solutions that your organization is paying for and like putting effort into rolling out. So that piece is absolutely critical. And I think it gets maybe less attention because it isn't as cool and shiny, but yeah, showing up to class is important in construction.
Yeah, no, I think I wrote it down here is give them time to learn.
Yeah,
I think that's with anything, like not
definitely.
just software, but just any, like you have to give people time. Like everybody puts their pants on the same way, and everybody had to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to put their pants on. Like you can't just expect, like I have a 5-year-old, like expecting him to just know how to put his pants on as he's
Right.
grown up here, like that's not very who of me. But like that's how we expect, like, here, take this tour. I've been through training. I talked with the company. Here's a 2-minute video. Rock and roll. This is going to change the business for the plus. And then we just don't give anybody any time to learn it.
Yeah, that comparison is really key. Like, yeah, we're essentially maybe, toddlers with technology, right?
Mhm.
So how are we going to learn that skill? Because it truly is a skill set. So yeah, exactly, to the takeaway that you got, make time to learn. And it's so hard to do because construction's a chaotic business, but yeah.
It definitely is. And this has been a fantastic conversation. I have loved it. I know the construction champions have loved it, because there's just a lot of knowledge that you dropped here today that isn't even necessarily software related. You understand people and you understand business, and I appreciate you spending the time with us here today.
Yeah, of course. I go back to my early field experiences so often. So, I mean, when I started brand new in the industry, the advice that I got, which was great advice, like go out on the job site, walk like 5 times a day, which I maybe got out 2 or 3 times a day, but walk 5 times a day, shadow a superintendent or foreman, ask questions, and then try to understand what they're telling you. And if you don't, ask more questions. So that, early experience, and it ties back, interestingly enough, to taking the time to learn. So I think prioritizing some of that early on in your career too helps to builds essentially this learning muscle. So learning becomes a natural part of your day to day. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. You can tell that your experience is from spending some time out in the field. And we love that here at Construction Champions. So for everybody listening out there, if they wanted to follow you, connect with you, learn more about what you do, where's the best places for them to do that?
Yeah, so a couple areas. LinkedIn, I'm fairly active on, and I do check my messages, which is good. So the easiest way to shoot me a message, search me up on LinkedIn. So Erin Khan, ErinKhan. The Khan spelling sometimes gets people, but yeah. So LinkedIn for sure. And then you can also check out my website, which is just erinkhanconsulting.com. So yeah, I look forward to connecting with anybody who's interested in construction and construction tech. I love process innovation and training teams up. So if that also interests you, let's catch up over a virtual coffee or something.
Awesome. I do have a question just for clarity.
Yeah.
Say if I was a general contractor, I was wanting to bring technology into my business,
Yeah.
is that something that you help with?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, 100%. So depending on, of course, the business case that the company wants to look at, or maybe it's really early and they don't even understand exactly what they want to solve, I can help support some of the processes to get that clarity, do an evaluation with some of the solutions that will fit their requirements, and then implement. So Yeah,
So
100%.
for everybody listening out there, that I wanted to have clarity on that, because like there's guys that think like, I want to get technology in my biz, but they don't
Yeah.
know where to start. Erin is right here. She can help you get started going down that road and figuring out what does that look like. So thank you. And thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. It's always great being able to just, chat top of mind. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks again for having me.
Awesome. All right, construction champions. Question of the day. Are you making time for your team to learn? Like that to me, that was like getting hit by a truck when Erin said that. Was like, what are we doing with everything? Not just technology rollout, but anytime we roll out something new, and then we just stick to the same schedule that we can't even meet the damn deadlines on to begin with. But now we're going to put something else in here, and then we're going to expect our team to learn it, implement it, do it at a high level, and not even have any time to figure that out. Like we can get so worked up, because then then what ends up happening is the solution doesn't even fix the problem. It actually adds another problem, because now you have a bunch of people using something and they have no idea how to utilize it, because you haven't given them the time. I'm going to say this right now, is that one company meeting is not enough time to go over everything when you implement something. Like that is not the time. It doesn't work. I have personally tried this, and as I'm sitting here reflecting on it, I can see where I have screwed up in the past, both with what I currently do with helping companies implement builder comms, but also in the past implementing systems and procedures to a operations department of over 100 people. Like you have to be able to also give them time throughout their day to learn what is going on. Don't just say, here it is. We give you a 30-minute training and I expect you to do this. You know what happens if I would teach my 5-year-old 30 minutes at a time and then just be like, hey, go handle life? Like it would be a complete failure. He'd be running around naked all the time. Like
Chaos.
it doesn't work that way, but that's how we do it. So challenge the status quo. Like we stay on here. Like that's not how we're supposed to do it as an industry. We can fix it. It all starts right here today. So construction champions, make sure you go check out our website, constructionchampionspodcast.com. Connect with our partners. Join our free Facebook mastermind group where we're connecting listeners together with guests and everybody, and we're creating a culture of challenging that status quo. So, construction champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be. Champions, I am super excited to talk to you about our partner, Contractor Staffing Source. Paul and his team have over 40 years, or Paul himself has over 40 years of experience in construction, and he knows what it takes to not only grow and scale a company, but also hire the absolute best for your company. And with this partnership, we have put together an amazing bundle of free resources, from his free $1 Million Hire course to a free disassessment, to a free cognitive ability assessment. All you have to do is go click the links at Construction Champions Podcast or in the show notes for this to access all these free resources. This is the kind of partnerships that Construction Champions Podcast will be bringing. Ones that add value, just like all of our other ones. This one adds massive value to your company and where you're headed in the future, so you can continue to grow and become the champion you were meant to be.